Okay, looks like we are live. Hi Pooja. So we wait for a few more people. Hi Karthik. Long time. Hi Saurabh, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing good right now. Hi Tanuj. Hi Saurabh, how are you?
Hi, Manav. I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh,
Great. Welcome. It's great
thank
to have
you.
you.
Yes. How's it going? How's the lockdown keeping you?
Lockdown's keeping us busy. You can't go out, but so much work to do at home itself.
Yeah, I know. I never knew that washing dishes was so hard.
How about you? How are things over there?
That's pretty good. So hopefully there'll be a few relaxations from tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to see if there's some things which turn out to be better than so there already.
Hmm. Yeah. So I've heard that they're opening some of the green zones.
Yes. So unfortunately, I'm in Noida and that's still a red zone. So I don't think not much is going to change here.
Yeah. I don't think so. Anything's changing in my area either. It's gonna be in lockdown for some
Right.
time. Great. We have a couple of people joining us.
Yes. By the way, she wants to join for some reason.
So is Sansa here as well?
Yeah. Can you see the video though? Because I can't see the video.
I can see. I think it's on your front camera. That's. I mean, the back camera is on right now, so I can see your
Yeah,
computer.
because I can't see. Achha. Oh, can you see?
Ah, there
Uh,
she is.
I can't see my video, as in I can see your video. But yes, so she wants to join in.
Welcome, Sansa. That's a very interesting name. So, did you name her after Sansa Stark, or?
Yes, obviously. I actually wanted to name her Eowyn after the Lord of the Rings character, but then that would turn out to be a little difficult as a name to pronounce for most people. So I had to go with Sansa.
No, I think Sansa suits her.
Yeah. So now my plan is to like get the entire Stark family. So I need to have like
Oh,
5, 6 more of them. So Rob is hopefully next.
All right. I'd like to see Ned Stark. Okay, so we have a couple of people. So hi everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi guys, thank you for joining.
Yep, we have Saurabh Thakur, the author of Aham trilogy. I've read half of the book and I'm loving it. Honestly, I'm loving it a lot.
Thank
Big
you.
time fantasy fiction fan. I think both of us are big time fantasy fiction fans. So it's great. Saurabh is also a filmmaker, by the way. For those of you who don't know, he's worked on a lot of different TV series. He has his own short stories. I think that's wonderful.
Thank
So,
you.
I should not keep talking it. This is for you. This is about you. So, let's start
Yeah.
with if you can give us a quick introduction about yourself. How you're
Right.
beginning your story.
Right. So actually, I'm Saurabh, and I'm from Bihar. Actually, I was raised in Patna, although my hometown is technically Darbhanga. And I just yesterday
Hmm.
found out that Satyajit Ray was also born there, so that gives me a lot of hope. And
That's great.
so, yeah, from there, then I moved to Calcutta for my graduation from Xavier's, and then Xavier's Bombay for postgrad. And then I've been pretty much all over the country, working and studying. So I've been
Hmm.
to stayed in Bangalore for a bit. I've stayed in Delhi for a bit. I've stayed in Bombay and Calcutta for a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much mostly about me. And then I make corporate films mostly. Although I have been part of the promoting for Life OK and Network 18, that's the news channel, CNN News 18
Hmm.
also. And currently, I have my own production house called Bigfoot Productions,
Wow.
and we've made a few short films and a few company profile films. So that's pretty much it.
That's a lot. I mean, you have your own production. You are working for a lot of news channels. You're doing corporate
No,
videos, and you're writing a book.
I was working for a news channel, so I've quit now. So it's been about
Uh,
a year almost since I've quit.
oh, that's good. But still, how do you manage? I mean, you're writing a book and you have your own production. Or that would take a lot of, energy and time.
Yes, which is actually the reason why it takes me a lot of time to like do something because it takes a sort of a different mindset when you're working and when you're writing. So you need
Hmm.
to kind of get into a sort of different zone, and which is kind of very difficult for me because I'm also very lazy. So half the time, like between switching from one thing to the other thing, it takes me about a couple of hours just lazing around on the sofa. So that's why it generally takes me a lot of time to write things. So, but
Uh-huh.
otherwise, yeah. So, like personally, I think that my writing speed is pretty good. It's just that I don't write that much. So that's pretty much it. And balancing work is obviously little difficult because you need to give the first priority to your work because that's how you that's your bread and butter. So like, that cannot be the second priority. So that's
Hmm.
the kind of a bit of a challenge as in balancing those.
Oh, interesting. So, at what point did you decide that, you want to be a writer?
So actually, it's not something I decided per se because like ever since I started my career in the media world, also I've been writing. So I write a lot of scripts and stuff. So even for corporate films, so I'm the one who's writing the scripts. So writing as a journey has been pretty much there from the start. I think. The only
Okay.
thing is like when I decided to be an author was I don't know how it happened. It just happened. Like there was this, especially a point when Game of Thrones was like the first couple of seasons when it was really popular, and so there were few of us, as in my friend circle, who had actually read the book. So rather than
Okay.
focusing on the series, so we used to like, and then because it got really popular because of the series, so there were a lot of fan fiction sites which came up. So
Right.
actually, I
Yeah.
joined one of them, and that is where I started working on a story. But then somewhere along the way, I decided that I could do this for myself. I don't really have to do it for as a fan fiction or something. I can like make a
Right.
standalone story.
So you would make
So
fan
that's
fictions
how it.
about Game of Thrones?
Uh, I so that was my first experience. That was the first time I was doing that, and I decided that no, I don't really need to do this for Game of Thrones. I can do this for myself.
Yeah, I liked the basic concept of the story that you have. You have
Thank you.
the spirits who are considered the good people and the demons who are supposed to be the bad people, but everything is actually
Right.
happening the other way around.
Correct. So
Right.
actually, again, kind of a spoiler, but it's generally not the other way around. It's
Uh-huh.
just is. As in, there's
Okay.
like, which is something which I believe personally in life as well, that there's no one really that you can label as good or bad. It's just people,
True. It's all gray.
or
All gray.
demons and spirits. Yes.
True. True. I agree. Yeah, I think that's interesting how you came up with this idea then. So, how has your writing journey been so far?
The writing journey was pretty strenuous because, like, it took me about around 4 to 5 years to actually finish the
Mhm.
first book. So the first couple of years was actually dedicated to actually just outlining the entire book. So, like, from
Hmm.
the prologue to the last chapter of the third book. So everything I outlined right at the first before I actually started writing, and
Right.
that's kind of a structure that I believe in. As in, everybody has a different process. So this was my process. As in, I want to know where exactly it was heading before I actually
Hmm.
started writing the book. So
Okay.
it took a while to actually come up with the story, and then obviously there was a lot of revisions and stuff. So, and then when I actually started writing, then obviously work interfered a lot. So it
True.
took much longer than I had expected. It took about 4 to 5 years, and then it took another 2 to 3 years to actually get published. So it's been a long journey, but thankfully it's out now. So
Yeah. Thankfully, it's out.
yes, I
So
know because
you,
yeah, sorry.
please go ahead.
Like, so because like what I was saying was like when I actually started writing, I really did not know if it would ever get published because, as in, I know fantasy fiction is not a genre which is popular in India, and
Yes, true.
it does not have many takers. So I was not really sure, and there are not many publishers who were actually willing to risk it with a fantasy fiction. So it was kind of a surprise when I actually got a contract. So,
Yeah. That's true. I agree with you. So there are not a lot of fantasy fiction authors in India. And
correct.
when I started reading around 10, 15 years back, the only
Mhm.
fantasy fiction I'd find was non-Indian authors, like mostly Western,
Correct.
authors. And in the past few years, I've been seeing some rise of the, mythological fiction, fantasy fiction Indian authors,
Right.
which is really good.
Which is actually kind of surprising because Mytho is actually very popular in India, and if you think of it, Mytho is actually the first fantasy fiction which ever came about. I mean, what is Ramayana or Mahabharata if it's not? I mean, you have an army of. No, I'm going to get a lot of hate for it, but there's an army of monkeys fighting. I mean, dude, that if that's not fantasy, then what is?
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
You can say
So
like we started writing fantasy fiction at one point.
Uh, actually, I think like all the mythos, I think I'm not sure if Indian mythology is the oldest or not. It could be Greek, but even Greek is actually all mythos is actually fantasy. If you look at Greek
Uh-huh.
mythos,
Right,
so all these gods and stuff. So even Norse mythos, so again, it's all
right.
fantasy.
It's all fantasy. And I've
So it
noticed
is
a lot of
kind of like
similarity between those fantasies also. I mean, if you see the god of
right.
the king of all the gods is always the god of thunder and rain,
Uh-huh.
which is
Right.
very common. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
So Sansa is actually biting me. Can you give me 1 minute? I'll just put it out for a second before my hand
Sure,
gets
sure.
bitten off completely.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
So in the meantime, welcome everybody.
yeah.
I see a lot of new joiners. Yeah,
I
it's like
Mahabharata is probably the greatest fantasy fiction
Pro-
ever written. I completely agree.
Definitely. Makes perfect sense. So, how did you conceive this idea of, spirits, humans, demons, three different realms and everything?
Uh, so actually, this is like, if I'm being frank and honest, it's not a new concept because there have
Hmm.
always been gods, demons, humans,
Right.
and different races. So, like, if you look at a lot of the Rings, there are orcs, elves, etc., etc. So that's there. That's been pretty much there everywhere. It's just like people give it different names. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to say that it was a very original idea or something because,
Hmm.
frankly, it wasn't. But yes, obviously, the way you treat a story is up to you. But obviously, there are a few things you can call them different things. For example, if you've read this, The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. So instead of
Yeah, my
orcs, there are
favorite.
Urgals. Yeah,
Yes.
so instead of orcs, there are Urgals. So that's pretty much it. People give it different names, different characteristics. But the basic premise is like for high fantasy, it's basically that. But
Right.
obviously, the way you treat the characters, the way you treat the story is different, and I hope that people like him and that they connect with the story as well.
True. True. Yeah, I think a lot of people have connected with the story because, at least in Indian
Absolutely.
mythology, gods and demons
Mhm.
are there and in
Right.
abundance. Right. So, did you do any kind of research while you were writing this book?
So actually, before I started writing, research is not something I like at all. As in, it requires a lot of effort, and I'm frankly too lazy to put in that much effort. So, which is why I think fantasy game naturally to me because you don't really need to research because it's a different world altogether. You can just put in whatever you want, and you don't need to back it up with any facts.
Ah,
So I think
true.
that's why I chose fantasy fiction. But then at the same time, you need to make it believable. So
Right.
that's it. So I find that part a little easier than research. But then I'm hopefully getting into a bit of research now.
hmm So, for your next book, right? Second book.
Not for Aham actually, because this story is completely like
Set.
written as in I just need to write it as in the story has been plotted out. My next project is actually a horror, but after that I'm actually looking to get into a historical fiction. So that is where the research, and I've been planning to start it for the last 2, 3 months, but I haven't started because again that laziness is something I need to get over.
Yeah, we all have that problem, especially in the lockdown right now.
I know. I thought that there'd be more time now because there's not much activities you can do. As in, so work is always there, but apart from that, but it's just lazing around watching Netflix.
Same here.
So all plans have been put on the back burner as of now.
Yeah, it's difficult to, that inertia is always there.
Right. It's a
So, what
daily
was the
struggle.
hardest? Same for me. And what was the hardest part about writing this book for you? Was it the inertia?
So writing actually wasn't the hard part. The hard part was waiting on the reply of publishers, and so actually I found that part to be the hardest because like once I finished the book and obviously I'd gone through the editing process as in self editing. After that, I sent it out to publishing houses directly, and
Mhm.
that time, there was absolutely no response, like not even okay, we received something. So I sent it to, I think,
Uh-huh.
a lot of publishers. I'm not going to name any of them, but there was not even a single response saying, okay, we've received your book, it's good, it's bad. So there was nothing. Then I actually read about a lot of other authors as to how they go about doing this. So then I actually came across this literary agency called the Book Bakers, which is headed by Suhail Mathur. So I was
Okay.
actually very prompt. I sent out the manuscript to him, and within a couple of days, he had taken up the book. And so I think the only reason it's out there today is because of Suhail, because like it took a bit of time, which was obviously I always expected it to take some time.
Hmm.
But to his credit, he got me like 2 contracts.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So maybe a shout out to Sohail is in order over here.
Yeah, big shout out to Civil.
All right, that's good. So, okay, now I'll come to the core of the book. Would you like to read out, your favorite excerpt from the book or talk about it?
Yeah, I could do that actually. I haven't have quotation for me. I was prepared for this. So it's actually in chapter two, and why I like this particular excerpt is because Vani, who's one of the main characters in the book, as in one of the two main characters, and
Hmm.
she's not really an antagonist, as in although it might be perceived as such, but to me she was never the antagonist of the movie. She was of the book, sorry, but she was just another character. So
Okay.
this is the point where she actually accepts her power. So
Oh,
I'll just give a little bit of a background. So she had gone to another clan, another demon clan for support in a war. And so one of the lieutenants there, so he actually kind of killed her messenger and was mocking it. So
right.
that's when this thing starts. As in, Lavin never got to finish his sentence. Darkness had engulfed Vani at his words. Her eyes narrowed and a stiffness took over her limbs. Strong energy radiated from her. In an instant, she had transformed from a princess into the queen of darkness. So this is one small little point which is my favorite line or paragraph in the book because it's where this character sort of comes of age.
Right. I remember reading that part. What I imagined was darkness growing behind her and she transforming into that. So yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice. So how did your parents and family and Sansa react to the book?
So actually, Sansa came after the book.
Oh,
Uh, so my friends and family obviously they were very supportive right from the start. So
mhm.
there's this one particular friend who I'd like to give a shout out to Devanjana because in the initial parts of the story when I was actually tweaking around with the story, she was the one I was brainstorming with, and she helped me
Okay.
with a lot of stuff. So she was obviously, and the other friends also were very supportive and helpful. Same with family. Only problem is that again, fantasy is not a very popular genre. So
Right.
it's been a little tough convincing people to read fantasy because it's not something that piques their interest. So, but then
Right.
everybody has been supportive, and I've received good feedback from everyone. In fact, I received a wonderful feedback from my cousin Anish, who actually said Aham is like what sort of does to fantasy fiction what Scorsese did to crime fiction in maybe it took out a lot of the boarding and dragging parts and just made it
Right.
more action. So, so that's actually the best feedback I've received so far.
That's a very interesting feedback, actually. Okay. So, I would like to actually open the floor right now for questions. Any of the readers, they have questions? I think we do have. Okay, we have a question from Shubro from Mumbai. So he's asking, do you read your book reviews and how do you deal with good or not so good ones?
Hi Shubhro. So obviously I read all the reviews because that's the only way that I can improve my skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously there are a lot of times when feedback is not generally what I look forward to. Sometimes it happens that I get bad reviews and stuff, but that is part of the process. As in, I look forward to negative reviews in the same way that I look forward to positive reviews because that is where you know where you're lacking and where you
Right.
identify your audience actually because not every book is meant for every person out there. So every book has its own sort of audience and you need to identify that audience and reviews actually help a lot in that sense,
It's an improvement process.
right? because
True.
there's some time when obviously, like sometimes there are a few reviews which are coming from sort of disinterest because fantasy is not their cup of tea, but somehow they've managed to read the book. But if it's not their cup of tea, they're not going to like it, however brilliant the book may be, or not.
True.
As in, I'm not
True.
saying Aham is brilliant or anything, but so that's the kind of learning curve you'll have to come up with each book. As in, I'm not saying that every fantasy is also the same. So there's some who may like Game of Thrones more, and if you like, if they read Lord of the Rings, maybe they won't like it that much.
True.
So
True.
you need to just take it in your stride.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay.
And again, since this is my first book, so I'm still learning how a lot of this stuff works. So even reviews, like I don't know how to react to them mostly, so I'm still taking my time with them. But yes, it helps a lot. So thank you for all of you guys for your reviews, and I really look forward to them.
Yeah. I'll give my review to you as well once I'm done with the book.
Yeah,
I'm savoring
definitely
that
looking
moment,
forward to
I'm
that.
savoring it.
Thanks, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Sure, sure. Okay, so Karthik from Sweden is asking, how do you map character arcs of the story? Do you have some kind of an interaction map with timelines to help you keep track?
Uh, yes, actually I do because it's like again the kind of process that you follow because uh, like I generally like writing as in thinking of the end as in how the story will end and then
Mm-hmm.
building it backwards from there. And so once I have the
Correct.
entire story flow from the start to the end or the end to the
Mm-hmm.
start, that's when I actually fit in all the interactions. If something has to happen, like say in chapter 9, so seeds of it have to be planted in chapter say 3 or 4 or 5
Right.
somewhere along the way. So that is the kind of process that I personally follow. As in everyone does it differently. That is how I like to plan stuff before I actually start doing anything.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because you give a little bit of hints to the reader somewhere in chapter 3
Mhm.
so that you can, like you said, you can get the final plot out in
Right.
9. Right. Okay, makes sense. Okay, next question. Ishita from Delhi is asking, where can we get a copy of the book?
Hi, Ishita. Unfortunately, the book is only available on Amazon as of now and as a paperback. So we're hoping to get the ebook out soon. But as soon as the lockdown lifts, then the paperbacks will be available once more.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, I'm just hoping the ebook comes out really
Yeah, that's a message to everybody. Ebook is coming out soon, and I'm looking forward to it
soon.
as
Yeah.
well.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So next, Tanuj from Nagpur. He's asking, which is your favorite fantasy series and why?
Uh, so my favorite fantasy series has always been Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's pretty much how I got into fantasy. Like uh, when I started reading, I started reading pretty late. I was in class eighth or ninth when I started reading per se, and it started obviously with famous five Hardy Boys and stuff. And
Hmm.
I moved on to Robin Cook and Jeffrey Archer, but it was I think in first year of college that I actually and because it just blew me away completely. And it's always
Yeah.
been like my biggest inspiration and stuff. So I in fact have an Elvish tattoo also.
Oh, yeah. So what does it say?
uh, it actually says "May the force be with you," but it's written in the Elvish script.
Mash up.
Yes, I also have one
I'm
another one. This is directly from the Lord of the Rings, as in I like the character of Gimli a lot, and this is sort of like
okay.
his war cry, Baruch Hazar Khazanah Menu. So this
Ah,
is the Dwarvish war cry that I have on my other arm.
I like Gollum a lot. I loved his line, "Nasty
He
hobbitses."
was like a wonderfully written character.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So the next Pooja from Hyderabad, she's asking, what's the one thing you have learned about yourself in your writing journey? It's a deep question.
That I am kind of, well, it's not something very new, but something which got reinforced very strongly is that I'm very impatient in the sense that once I start doing something, I need to get it over with very quickly, and if it's not, it leads to a lot of frustration. And
Right.
that happened initially with Aham a lot because I would think that okay, I set myself 3 days to finish this chapter, but something or
Hmm.
the other would come up, and then it would kept getting delayed, and that had led to a lot of frustration. And then finally, I realized I'm either procrastinating a lot or I'm impatient. Something was wrong, so I still need to work on it and fix it.
That happened to me as well. I joined a writing club some time back because I
Hmm.
wanted to explore my
Right.
my skills, and
Hmm.
they gave me one theme, and I had to write a story based on that theme. They gave me
Hmm.
20 minutes, and all I could write was like one small paragraph. It took me so
Yeah.
long to write it, write something that I was happy with.
Right. So that's I think the most critical step. Like as you mentioned, that you need to first be happy with what you've written. As in,
Exactly.
the first person that needs to be happy with it is you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. True. I completely agree. Okay, so I'll continue with the next set of questions. So, yeah, are there any Easter eggs that I should be looking out in the book? I've read half of it, but
Uh,
is there anything to look forward to?
I'm very tempted to actually tell you about a couple of them, but I will actually refrain from doing that because so this, I'll give you a sort of a hint, as in there's one character
Mhm.
who is actually coming twice as different beings. I'm not sure if I'm able to like enunciate
Okay.
correctly, but so there's a character you know about, you've read about in the book, and it's coming as something else in the book also.
Okay.
And so yeah, these threads will be like sorted out in the third book.
Third book.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a choice but to wait for it. Shubhra has another question actually. He's asking, any interesting, quirky or writing habits that you have?
Okay. So this is my first book, so I don't really haven't really developed any habits as such. So, but yeah, like I like things in front of me. Like for example, like before I started working on the book, so I wanted to have a map of the world that I was playing around with. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to have some sort of look reference, if you can call it that, some sort of a reference as to how the places I'm describing look, how the characters I'm describing look. So those are the things I wanted to have like right in front of me while I was writing. So I don't know if that's a habit because it's just the first book. So
So I actually spoke to this one author who said that he needs to have a McDonald's burger every time he begins writing.
like that, then I could probably say that before writing, I like tend to have a smoke.
Oh, okay. To calm yourself down.
Not really, just something to do, sort of a ritual.
Uh, okay. Okay, so there are a lot of authors out there, and what advice would you give to them, for writing in their process, in their journey of writing a book?
So the one advice that I can give is like have patience. Like have patience with the time
Hmm.
you're writing your book. Have patience with your characters because everybody like the sort of characters generally tend to develop a little bit organically once you start writing, and
Hmm.
because a lot of this stems from your subconscious as well. So you need to be patient. You need to see where it's going. You need to see if that has any potential or if the character path that you've chosen earlier, if that had more potential. So you need to like be patient and like make conscious decisions. And the same patience will help you later on when you're trying to get your book published, because it's a
Right.
difficult journey. It's not a very easy journey.
Yeah,
So patience is.
I completely agree with you on that. So another question that Karthik is asking is, how do you deal with writer's block? Oh yeah, that's a good question. And how have you gotten past it?
Right. So actually, thankfully, up to now, I have written this. I have finished writing another manuscript. So up to now, I haven't actually come across the writer's block, thankfully. And I think the reason for that is the process I kind of follow is because I know what the story is going to be. I know if
Hmm.
I'm point A, how it's going to go to point B. So I know that from the start before I actually start writing. So I think that is the one reason why I have been able to avoid the writer's block so far.
So the idea is to have a framework already built up so
Correct.
that you know where to
Right.
go.
Right. So, like in terms of a blueprint, if you think of your book
Mhm.
as an actual building, so you need to have the blueprint in place before you actually start putting in the whatever materials.
Okay. A couple of authors that I spoke to in the past, they said that they had to. I mean, it's a little unrelated, but they had to actually write the manuscripts instead of typing them, because that helped them avoid the block, and that helped them think basically.
So again, it's a different process for everyone. As in,
Yeah.
I was kind of lucky in the fact that I'd already been writing before I actually started writing a book. I'd been writing scripts and developing scripts. So I already had a process in place before I actually moved on to a book. So I was lucky that way. A lot of young writers and upcoming writers might not be that lucky. As in, they're going to have to start experimenting with the book. So just take your time, figure out your process, because everybody has their own process. As in, my process will not work for someone else's won't work for the third person. So
Right.
just developing that process is something you need to do yourself.
Agreed. Agreed. I can see a couple of other people have joined. So welcome everybody. Today we are having a
Hi
discussion
guys.
with Saurabh Thakur, the author of the Aham trilogy. So, okay, so Nisha is asking, how did you come up with the character names? That's an interesting question.
Yes. So actually, I was when I started writing, I was so none of the characters had Indian names when I actually started the first as in outlining the plot. So because they're all very fancy names and stuff. But then I realized that since I'm here, as in I'm in India, so and I'm writing about a sort of a story which is set in India because the location
Mhm.
was always around India. So I thought that why am I going with some foreign sounding weird names? So then I decided that okay, no, fine, I should actually go back to Indian names like so that's where Google helped me out a lot. I kept searching for baby names on Google, and a couple of times people actually came up to me while I was doing the searches, and they're like, "हाँ भाई तेरी तो शादी भी नहीं हुई, तू क्यों बच्चे के लिए नाम देख रहा?"
That's
So
interesting.
yeah.
So, looking up baby names, I did not think that was a process.
Yes, but that's how it came about.
Very nice. Okay, Tanuj has another question. What's your take on authors changing major parts of the storylines after the book is completed? Like
Sorry,
what J.K.
I
Rowling
didn't
has
get.
been doing with the Harry Potter series.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Uh, what is your take on authors who change major parts of the storyline after the book has been completed? So, yeah, I kind of agree with this question. Like the Harry Potter series is over in the sense
Hmm.
that the books have come out, but still,
Right.
we get tweets from Rowling, who's an amazing author by the way. Uh, you know, which changed the entire plot, the way you perceive the character, the way you perceive the story.
Is this about Dumbledore being gay?
That could be one of the
Uh,
tweets. There are a lot of other things as well.
Like I don't know. I'm not really getting the crux of the question because the books have already been out. There's nothing which has changed in the books. So if anything, it's just I don't mean any disrespect to anyone here whatsoever. But sometimes once things done, you kind of look back. Like it happens with everyone. So like all the characters from Harry Potter have become household names, as in they're no
True.
longer fictional characters. So, people speculate about them. People come up with different fan theories, conspiracy theories, which happens with a lot of, like, if you look at the world leaders also, like, of the past. So, we now have a different way of looking at them. For example, like, even Gandhiji, people have a different way of looking at Gandhiji now. So,
Right.
that happens to, like, characters who become so popular that they, they're no longer fictional, because I don't think. Like I personally waited for the letter from Hogwarts on my 11th birthday, so I cannot really. If I'm doing that, I cannot really term the book as entirely fiction because that's something which was very real for me, and I'm pretty sure it was the same way for a lot of people. So once characters become that close to you on a personal level, then obviously you're going to speculate about them, and I think it's a big testament to the power of the author that they've actually created such characters who've become topics of debate. And it
True.
very rarely
True.
happens to fictional characters, but if it has become one, then it's just hats off to J.K. Rowling for this.
True. She's definitely a legendary author, at least in my books.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think the authors. Yeah, sometimes even I feel that the authors are the one who created those characters, so they have that uh, authority to change things.
right. And also, there are a lot of backstories about the characters which only the author is aware of. Like before
True.
they start building a character, they actually build a sort of a backstory for the character, which might or might not come out in the books. So you never know where it's coming from, and so yeah, that's pretty much it. Although, if the
Okay.
question, I'm not sure if this was relevant to the movies or the books.
So the question is more related to the movie, I think, because if you've seen the latest Fantastic
Right.
Beasts movie, they introduced a third
Right.
brother,
Huh.
right? So that was
No,
something big.
so again, so have they? I don't. They have not really confirmed this now. Like if
They
you
did.
look,
So in the end,
it's just that this guy who's uh, I'm forgetting his name, Johnny Depp's character, Grindelwald.
yeah,
He is the only one who's told him that he's a third brother. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's just Grindelwald playing again.
could be. But like they say, a phoenix comes to your help, and then the phoenix came for his help, stuff like that.
But like if you have read Lord of the Rings, Fox is the only phoenix which has come to anyone, and it's
True.
come to Harry Potter as well.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. It has come to Harry Potter.
Right.
Okay. So Nisha has another question. She's saying, how did you come up with the name of the book?
So the name of the book was something which I'd been tinkering with for a long time. As in, I wanted it to be something which had meaning in Sanskrit. Because like since I've set the story around India and also a lot of the
Hmm.
characters are sort of very Indian names and stuff, so I wanted the title to also have convey that connection. So
Hmm.
Aham actually refers to ego, as in the short for and ego, which I believe is not a bad thing per se, but ego is basically your recognition of your own self worth, which is something which everybody needs to have. I
Needs to
mean,
have.
they need to recognize their own worth, and that is actually a very, very big essence of the book. So, which is why it was called Aham.
Interesting. Yeah, I think everything in balance is required. So ego, too much of ego is
Correct.
not good, but some level should
Correct.
be there. थोड़ा बहुत तो चाहिए.
Again, ego, like if you look at ego as not a negative word, but as a positive, you know, sense of yourself, then it's
Uh-huh.
definitely not a bad thing.
True. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, so we are close to the end. So I just have one more question for you.
Mhm.
Uh, when is the next book coming out?
Unfortunately, that is not something that I can answer as of now because that depends a lot on the publishers, Loxley Hall, who've been actually a big shout out to Loxley Hall as well because they've been very supportive of the entire book and the entire journey. So I'm hoping that if the interest in the book picks up a little more and technically I haven't actually started writing the second book.
Okay.
So I've written, as in I've started writing it. I've written like a few chapters, and then I've stopped and started working on other projects. So I'm hoping that next year, middle of next year, is when the second part should be out. Hopefully, if everything
Okay.
goes well and we receive enough decent good responses on the first one, then obviously the second one will follow, and hopefully it will also be like this.
Hopefully you do because I am looking forward to the next two books.
Thank you.
And I'm sure everybody else is. That's great. That's good. Those of you who've joined recently, we are in conversation with Saurabh Thakur, the author of the Aham trilogy. The first book is out. It's available on Amazon. The ebook will be out soon. We are waiting for that ebook to come. And if you guys have any other questions, please do let me know. I'll keep the floor open for another few minutes. I think everybody is wishing you luck.
Thank you, guys. It means a lot. And hopefully, if you haven't read the book yet, hopefully you'll read it soon. And please do never hesitate to like reach out to me. Like if you think something is crap, you think you should change it or something, or some character should be added, changed, whatever. Just let me know. I really look forward to any sort of feedback.
Definitely. Guys, Saurabh is very approachable. I was able to get in touch with him very quickly, and he's very positive, takes feedback very well, and he has a lot of ideas,
Thank you.
and I am liking those ideas a lot.
Thank you.
I love the concept arts as well. Saurabh.
Thanks, man. So there's this guy, Megwin. I don't know how to pronounce his last name though. So
Mhm.
he's in Albania. So he actually made the concept art, and we've been releasing them one by one. But hopefully, they'll be like all of them should be out in a little while.
So we have a very interesting question from Karthik. Have you
Yes.
somehow subtly embedded Sansa in the story?
Actually, Ansa came after the book, so I haven't actually been able to incorporate her. So maybe in the next one, hopefully. Although, when I was a kid, about in class 10th and 11th and stuff, so we had two dogs that time, Whiskey and Naughty. So the dedication goes out to them actually in the book.
What are the name again? Rick and Morty?
Whiskey and Naughty.
Whiskey and Naughty. Oh, I like those names. Great. I like Whiskey and Naughty. I had a dog named Smoochie.
Ah, I have seen the photos. You should really
Uh,
post.
okay. I guess we don't have any questions from the audience right now. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, Saurabh. It's
Same here,
really
Madam.
been a pleasure. I am really loving the book so far. I don't know. I've said that at
Thank
least a
you so
hundred
much for
times
that.
in this half an hour. All right, great. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Saurabh, for your
thank you
time.
everyone for being here. Thanks a lot for all your support and your uh,
Okay, I think we have just one more question. That is from Shubro. What would be your book's main? What would your book's main character have to say about you?
Uh, don't get inspired by Martin and don't kill us off.
Don't kill us all. Oh yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Killed everybody I liked.
I know. And some of the stars he made it also do.
Yeah. Okay, it's great. Thanks a lot, Saurabh. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thanks a lot, man. It's really wonderful interacting with you.
yeah, really great interacting with you. We have very few fantasy fiction authors in India. You are one of the golden circles, part of the golden circle. Great, thank you so much, and all the best
Yeah.
for your book. Hopefully,
Thanks,
the next
thanks a lot,
book
man.
comes
And
out
thank you all
soon.
of you guys for like all your wonderful wishes.
Great. See you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks a lot, guys.
Say bye to
Thanks a lot.
Sansa as well, please.
There she is.
Oh, bye, Sansa.
Now she's not interested.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thanks, man.
Thank you. Bye.